Been a bad couple of weeks for me. I'm not scoring much points, but let's talk about the winners for a second. Miguel was so kindly to point out to me that the three highest scorers in week three were also the three teams that had no wins. That were all three of them 0-2. That was Smelly Grundeliers, Diego, who actually is the highest point scorer so far, total score in the entire league. He's only 1-2. He's got some bad luck, bad matchups. He beat my team by the biggest margin of victory, 150 to 90. All right, and he did it basically with Andrew Luck, who is scoring mega points. Andrew Luck is like turning into like elite status. He's starting to get up there with like Peyton Manning and all those guys. He had 30 points. He had basically double digits all around, except for his kicker and his wide receiver, his flex. But he had Pierre Garçon, 26. He had Chiefs give him 18 points for defense. Forte, Reggie Bush, Des Bryant, Greg Olson had like a big touchdown at the end of the game. 150 points. My team suffering badly. I have no Jamal Charles. Let's see. Russell Wilson gave me 20. Colts defense gave me 24. Aside from that, I just had duds up and down the board. Demaryius Thomas didn't give me double digits. Mason Crosby, the Green Bay is struggling. They had one touchdown. Not looking good for the Yak train. All right, let's move on. We had the second highest score with Kraken. Kraken 0-2 Kraken beat the Plains. That was a really good matchup because it went down to Monday. They were separated by only 12 points, and the Kraken had the Bears D. Paper Plains had the tight end from the Bears and Chris Ivory from the Jets. Basically, if Ivory and Martellus Bennett scored touchdowns, Kraken was probably going to lose unless Chicago got some turnovers and a touchdown, which they did. And Chicago put in a big score for him and ended up giving him 23 points, overcoming Bennett's 20 points and Chris Ivory's 11 points for flex. Other than that, he got a big game from Nick Foles, a big shootout game between the Redskins and the Eagles. He scored big on that. Rashard Jennings got a couple touchdowns. Victor Cruz got back to normal. The rest wasn't that special, but 8 points up and down the road. Jimmy Graham didn't give him much. The Pure Plains was basically Marshawn Lynch. Bennett, Crabtree gave him big points, so I'll give him about 20. Tony Romo, Frank Gore was a dud. And Andre Johnson is not getting thrown to. So Paper Plains fell to 1-2. Kraken raises to 1-2. Next we had the Lom Loms. The Lom Loms, 128 points. They were also 0-2, but looks like the Lom Loms are starting to bounce back after losing RG3. Lom Loms go out and pick up EJ Manuel from Buffalo. Got only 13 points. Eddie Lacy, like I said, Green Bay offense is having problems. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Detroit. Maybe it's just the defenses are hitting. Lacy only gave him 3. Bernard is a big-time player. It's turning out. He got 18. Alshon Jeffrey did good for him in Chicago. After, I think, Brandon Marshall went down, Jeffrey started getting all the targets. Let's see. Steve Smith did well for him in Baltimore. Dwayne Allen did, 12 points. Jeremy Maclin in that big shootout, like I said, between Eagles and the Redskins. A lot of people benefited from that fantasy-wise. Maclin, 26 points. So he got up to 128. The Rodgers are struggling. Aaron Rodgers, like I said, that Green Bay offense is hurting a lot of people right now. Ridley didn't do much. Sproles had a big week last week. Only had 5 points this week. Larry Fitzgerald didn't get a touchdown. Gronkowski just, gave 12 points. Mike Wallace gave 11 points. Seahawks D didn't blow him out of the water. Gronkowski only got 10. So if Aaron Rodgers is not doing well, Steve Ridley is not scoring touchdowns, and Larry Fitzgerald's not getting his targets, then the Rodgers are going to struggle. And that's just a fact of it. All right. Now let's take a look at the next highest victory. Was the Slack team, who's now 0-3. Slack team knocked out the Adams, who had a terrible week after scoring mega points last week. Adams only put up 66 this week. Cutler didn't do much. McCoy didn't have a big game. I guess in the Eagles game, I guess it was a shootout, so they weren't really running the ball. DeMarco Murray had a big game. DeMarco Murray has turned out to be a monster this year. Jordy Nelson didn't get in the end zone, right? Keenan Allen didn't do much. Tight end for the Giants didn't do much. So he didn't get anything out of the Browns or a bunch of guys. He got single digits except for DeMarco Murray and Jake Cutler only given 12. As for Slack team is still riding Matty Ice, still riding Julio Jones. The 33 points of that big Thursday game against the big blowout, 56-point blowout against Tampa, really benefited Slack. Trent Richardson, Alfred Morris didn't get double digits. So it was basically that, a little bit of Dan Bailey, a little bit of the tight end from Kansas, and 117 points for Slack, who's now 3-0. So Slack and Laces are now leading this whole entire league right now. And who else we got now? Next highest, let's go back to Boston. Boston strong. MJ is now 2-1. Okay, knocked out Cavish. Cavish took the first loss of the year. Cavish was scoring big points the last couple of weeks. Got a bad dud. Cam Newton got banged out, knocked out of the game toward the end of the game. I don't think he's really hurt, but he's got some rib cage issue, and the Pittsburgh D was all over him, and he wasn't running the ball. So Cam Newton only gave him 9. C.J. Spiller didn't get in the end zone for Buffalo. McFadden, Calvin Johnson didn't have a big game. He had 11. Cordero Patterson had 12. Everything else was single digits. Julius Thomas didn't have a big game against Seattle. Antonio Gates had a huge week the previous week, only had 1.3 this week. Saints D, Robbie Gould. So he got just, the up and downs, inconsistency, while Boston, Drew Brees gave a good 18. Zach Stacy gave a good 15. Matt Ashada, is doing the dirty work over in Minnesota without Adrian Peterson. 8. AJ Green is back. Got 14. Julian Edelman is getting all the targets. This is the main receiver right now. Not Gronkowski, but it's Julian Edelman. Boston's got him. And Jason Witten didn't do too much. Tom Walden didn't do too much. Patriots D, 9. Vinatieri, 44-point victory against that Jacksonville. Big blowout. 16 points for Vinatieri. And finally, first place. Laces out. Laces didn't score a lot of points. Laces would have lost to a bunch of teams this week, but Laces was lucky enough to go against the lowest score of the week, in week 3, against the Sunrise Touchdowns. But Laces has Peyton Manning. Okay, this is first place right now. Peyton Manning. She's got Antonio Brown, who is doing dirty work in Pittsburgh, just getting like most of the workload. Speedy receiver. She's got Sanders, who's like a clone. They both came from Pittsburgh. Sanders is doing dirty work, getting a lot of the receptions. Basically, most of those like main down receptions. It's almost like Welker has been replaced by Sanders, which makes sense. Sanders is a little more athletic, a little faster. Panthers D, who's really good, had a bad time this weekend. I don't understand. Maybe they had a couple of injuries. They lost that guy Hardy. Tucker, 11. Dennis Pitta didn't do much. But watch out for Laces Out. Laces Out has got a diverse portfolio of ways to, if they have a couple of duds, they can still get a couple of really strong outings from a couple of these receivers and from Peyton Manning, of course. Sunrise Touchdowns struggled. Okay, that Green Bay Detroit game just hurt a lot of people. I think he must have had a couple of interceptions because he only put on 2.6 points. Knight Stacker really been lighting it up the past couple of weeks. Le'Veon Bell gave 17, which was the big highlight for the Sunrise. Other than that, Chris Johnson, 3 points. Randall Cobb did not get in the end zone for that Green Bay offense, 5 points. Roddy White was benched, so he got 0 because he was a little banged up. It was a Thursday game, so they sat Roddy White. Niles Paul, I guess some Washington tight end, got 9. Pierre Thomas got 12. 49ers didn't do much, so Sunrise needs to improve, as well as the Yak Train, as well as a couple other teams. But Right now, I would watch out for the Grundeliers as a top point total team. I'd watch out for Laces Out and Slack every week. And look out for Boston Strong, who's in first place right now. Okay. Actually, in second place behind Laces. But good luck week 4. We start the bye weeks. My team needs a lot of improvement. I got a lot of injuries. Hope I can bounce back and work that waiver wire. All right. Good luck week 4. Over and out.